Mummy, don't actually move up. Yeah.
Mummy, I kicked you. What?
It really got to the stage when he was in intensive care. You know, I had to walk out. I just couldn't take it. My wife, girlfriend at the time, she went in, and you know there was about 8 people around there, literally saving his life. You know, there was paramedics, there was nurses, there was doctors, and then there was Sharon. And she was pregnant at the time with Georgia. They needed to get him to Alder Hey urgently because he only had literally this one line going into his head and his neck, which was keeping him alive. You know, if that got blocked or dislodged, so they actually had to be really careful in the ambulance. You know, and it took 2 hours for him to get from the intensive care at Telford into the actual ambulance. It took another 2 hours to get up, well, about an hour and a half to get to Alder Hey. And again another 2 hours to get him from that to the intensive care bed at Alder Hey, because it was so critical. They kept that vein open. You know, otherwise you wouldn't have made it. As simple as that. You know, it's on the increase, unfortunately, type 1 diabetes within the UK. There's probably about 21,000 kids that are affected with it, and at the moment probably only about 10% are open to what Charlie's on now, which is an insulin pump, which just makes life easier. Certainly for him, the quality of life is much better. You know, he can run around, he can do pretty much anything because he's on a pump which actually secretes the insulin into his body.
Sure? Yeah, if you want to do now. Cover your woodies up. Put your dress up.
Yeah, you kind of think it's not going to happen twice. You know, lightning doesn't strike twice and all that, and unfortunately it did. You know, last summer. He said, you know, we think it's leukemia. At which stage, you know, you just kind of break down. I just remember thinking again, probably similar to when Charlie was in such a bad way that, you know, there's very helpless. Like, you don't know, you can't do anything, you're not medically trained to do anything. You just kind of want to punch a wall and, you know, get out of there. But again, it's a situation you're in and you can't do anything but, you know, cope with it. And she's been on probably 6, 7, 8 different types of chemo so far. I mean, she's had, I think, approaching about 30 blood transplants since she was diagnosed. And she gets what's called a bead of courage each time that she gets a little bit of treatment, and she's got about 420 beads now. You know, she gets a different colour one for each thing, so whether it's chemo, whether it's nights in hospital or new nose tube or anything like that, and it's really you know, she loves it because she gets a bead. You know, she might be having painful chemo, but at the same time she's getting a bead.
That one is for...
That one's the 5 and 5. It was something that my brother and I came up with over a few pints after Georgia had been sort of discharged from hospital initially. We kind of came up with that Charlie had been diagnosed initially and then transferred to Liverpool, and Georgia was diagnosed initially in Telford and transferred to Birmingham. And then we came up with it that we do 5 marathons in 5 days because, you know, not to be corny, but what both Charlie and Georgia have been through has been a marathon. So what we're doing is, over the course of 5 days, going from Liverpool Alder Hey Hospital to Birmingham Children's Hospital, starting on the 22nd of July. Overall, I think about 130 miles, give or take a few paths and a few windy roads. It's about 130 miles in 5 days. The reason why we're doing it, yes, it's to raise money, and we're looking for at least £5,500 to tie in with the 5 and 5, but also to raise awareness. There's so many times that you hear of, you know, the families that we've spoken to where they've gone to the doctor and they've said, you know, come back if it's not gone away. So if we can raise awareness, certainly with childhood cancer, with type 1 diabetes, where the parents don't go away from that doctor's surgery and actually say, no, I tell you what, you know, I've heard about this before, I want my child checked. You know, unfortunately childhood cancer and childhood diabetes is on the increase. You know, so if we can raise enough awareness for one child's life to be saved, then that would be brilliant.